Heartwarming twist, discover how a woman's false groom, hiding hidden billions, changed everything in Willow Creek. Allie Thompson stood in her bakery, sweet beginnings, the sweet aroma of cinnamon and fresh bread filling the air like a warm embrace. Every loaf she pulled from the oven carried a piece of her soul, a reflection of the love she poured into her 9-year-old son, Jake. The town of Willow Creek buzzed with excitement for the annual Harvest Festival, and this year, Allie hoped her baked goods would not just bring joy but also help those struggling, just like her. Her heart raced with the scent of opportunity, but it wasn't just the festival that had her flustered. Marcus had been a steady presence by her side as she prepared, his charming smile lighting up the bakery. He listened intently while she shared her dreams of making sweet beginnings a staple in every home. Could this be the beginning of something beautiful for them both? The thought fired up her hope. For a moment, it felt like the clouds were parting, shining the sun on her weary spirit. But in the depths of her heart, a nagging worry tugged at her. It was as if she was walking a tightrope, balancing despair and hope. The weight on her shoulders felt heavier, fueled by her love for Jake and the sacrifices she made to provide for him. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Yet, as the festival approached, whispers floated through the town that Marcus was not who he claimed to be. A bittersweet tension hung in the air. Allie felt the ground shifting beneath her feet, the strong foundation of her hopes cracking. She had shared so much with Marcus, but could he truly understand her struggles when hidden beneath his handsome exterior lay a world of wealth and privilege? When Allie stumbled upon the truth that Marcus was an heir to $1 billion fortune, but estranged from his family, her world went dark. It clashed violently with the values her late father had instilled in her. How could she reconcile a love that seemed too good to be true, especially when its roots lay deep in family connections that prized wealth over authenticity? In that pivotal moment, Allie faced a storm. The bakery she had crafted with love suddenly seemed cold and indifferent. Would she allow herself and Jake to be swept away by promises of a life beyond their struggles, or would she hold her ground, cherishing the values that brought her so much warmth? As the Harvest Festival drew near, she prepared for a charity event to help families in need, pregnant with the realization that her love for her community was as vital as her love for her son. Just as she grasped the essence of that powerful choice, a knock on the bakery door shattered her thoughts. It was unexpected guests, and a revelation that could change everything for Willow Creek. Would it breathe hope back into her life, or deepen her anguish? Allie's heart raced, caught in a whirlwind of feeling as she stood at the crossroads of dreams and stark reality. The taste of choice lingered in the air. Allie took a deep breath, steadying herself as she opened the bakery door. The crisp autumn breeze rushed in, carrying a swirl of fallen leaves and an unexpected tension. Standing there, framed by the golden light of the setting sun, were two figures she hadn't seen in years. Evelyn and Tom, her childhood friends, appeared both familiar and foreign. "Allie!" they exclaimed in unison, their voices filled with warmth that momentarily pushed away the doubts clouding her heart. But beneath their cheer, Allie sensed something was off. Their eyes darted nervously, as if they were carrying a weight too heavy to hide. "Hey! What brings you two here?" she replied, forcing a smile while ignoring the tightness forming in her chest. "We heard about your bakery," Evelyn said, her enthusiasm slightly muted. "We wanted to support you during the festival." Tom stepped forward, lowering his voice. "And we wanted to talk about something important. It's about Marcus." Just hearing his name made Allie's heart skip a beat. She hadn't expected her friends to bring him up, especially with the swirling rumors that made her question everything she thought she knew about him. "What do you mean? Is something wrong?" "We saw him." Evelyn hesitated, glancing at Tom. We saw him with someone who claims to be part of his family. Confusion bounced around in Allie's mind. What do you mean? I thought he was estranged from them. There's talk that he has been working behind the scenes for a reconciliation, and it doesn't sit right. Tom's voice trailed off. Allie, we know you care for him, but you should be cautious. The world seemed to spin as their words sank in. Here at the door, with her friends spilling secrets cloaked in unease, Allie felt the walls of her world closing in. Could she trust Marcus? Was he truly committed to her and Jake, or was he waiting for the moment to slip back into the wealth that defined his past? She can't help but glance back into the bakery, where the warm glow of the oven still flickered. It served as a beacon of her passion, her dreams. Yet, Marcus's hidden life loomed large like a dark cloud, casting a shadow over her hopes. I need time to think, she murmured, feeling a tear prick her eye. She wanted to scream out her frustration and fears, but all she managed was a quiet resolve. Thanks for telling me. I appreciate it. As they left, Allie felt a tightening in her chest. The festival was only days away, and now uncertainty curled around her like a snake. She wanted to believe in the magic of the occasion, the power of community, and the sweetness of simple joys. That night, as she worked late into the evening, rolling out dough and filling it with cinnamon and sugar, her mind raced. Every swirl of her whisk, every scoop of flour felt heavy with questions. Could love really bridge this divide? Or would her heart be left decomposed under the lies that hid in the shadows? The next day brought the festival, and the town was alive with laughter and festivities. Yet as Allie prepared for the charity event, the anticipation in the air mixed with anxiety, bubbling up like a boiling pot. Just as she set the last tray of cookies on the cooling rack, her phone buzzed with a message from Marcus. Can we talk? I need to explain everything. Her heart pounded, and a world of possibilities unfurled before her. Did she dare to step into the unknown again? What secrets would he reveal? As she pressed her thumb over the screen, unsure of her next move, one thing became clear: Allie stood at a turning point. Would she take the leap into the unknown, or would she protect herself from heartbreak? With a deep breath, she prepared to face whatever awaited. Allie stared at her phone, each second stretching into eternity as she felt the weight of his words settle in her chest. Can we talk? It echoed with urgency. She could almost hear his voice, smooth, tentative, filled with the same mix of charm and earnestness that had drawn her in from the start, but now, with Evelyn and Tom's revelation looming in her mind, every instinct screamed at her to tread carefully. The warmth of the bakery faded as doubt seeped into her heart. Could she really trust him? As the festival bustled outside, she wondered if she really wanted to dive headfirst into all the uncertainty swirling around Marcus. He had always been a mystery, an alluring spirit wrapped in secrets. She was just beginning to peel back layers. What would she uncover now? The sound of laughter mingled with chatter outside, where families roamed, the air rich with the scent of sweet confections and spiced cider. Each joyful face reminded her of the life she dreamed of, a life anchored in trust and love. Yet, that vision felt increasingly fragile. The flour dusted her hands, reminding her of her aspirations. The bakery symbolized hope, a new beginning. Could she risk it all for a man whose past had begun to creep back into the present? Suddenly, the door chimed gently, and Jake, the bright-eyed boy she had taken under her wing, bounded inside. His excitement poured into the room like a burst of sunshine. Allie! Look at all the decorations outside. It's amazing. He held a paper crown made of autumn leaves, his smile infectious. That's wonderful, Jake. She forced a smile, grateful for his innocence. For a moment, it brought her some clarity in the chaos of her mind. As she knelt beside him, she felt his small hand grasp hers, connecting them in a moment of pure joy. Are you going to make the best cookies for the festival? He asked, his face lit with expectation. I sure hope so, she replied, brushing back her worries for the moment. But you have to help me with that. Okay. Let us do it. They dove into mixing dough, their laughter falling like soft flour over the room. As they worked together, Allie felt the tightness in her chest ease, even if just a little. In those instances, she remembered the heart of the matter: community, love, and connection, but then her phone buzzed again, pulling her out of the warmth of the moment. It was another message from Marcus: "I'm here." Allie's heart raced at the abrupt shift in her reality. She stepped away from Jake, her mind racing. "I'll be right back," she said, trying to mask her anxiety. Standing just outside the bakery, she caught sight of him. There he was, slightly disheveled, yet undeniably handsome, with a look of determination in his eyes. All the unsafe urges to reach for him pulled at her heart. "Marcus," she started, but the words tangled in her throat. "Can we go somewhere private?" he asked, his voice steady but his eyes betraying a flicker of fear. Beneath the boldness, she noticed vulnerability. "Why do you want to keep this a secret?" she replied, unable to hide the quiver in her voice. The stakes were too high. She couldn't just cast aside her worries for another whirlwind exchange. "Because I need you to understand everything before you decide what you want," he urged, a desperate plea hiding behind his intensity. Allie closed her eyes briefly, wrestling with her thoughts. Could she take that leap? Just in that moment, the festival lights twinkled like stars above her head. She felt a tug of longing and fear. With every moment that passed, her heart knew she couldn't avoid the truth for long. "Okay," she said finally, taking a deep breath. "Let us talk." As they walked into the crisp evening, the promise of revelation hung in the air. Would this conversation bind them closer together or shatter everything she held dear? She didn't know, but one thing was certain: the night was far from over. What he revealed could change everything. What was he hiding? The chill of the evening wrapped around Allie as she and Marcus stepped away from the bustling festival, the sounds of excitement fading like whispers behind them. The streetlights flickered softly above, illuminating the path lined with trees dressed in their autumn leaves, vibrant orange and deep maroon. Each step was heavy with unspoken words, a delicate dance between her pounding heart and the uncertainty lingering in the air. "Where to?" she finally asked, her voice barely above a whisper. She felt the warmth of Marcus next to her, yet all that warmth was marred by the uncertainty that held her pulse at a quickened rate. "Just down to the park, there's a bench by the lake." "It's quieter there," he replied, glancing at her, his eyes searching, pleading for understanding. The path to the park felt longer than usual, each footfall a reminder of the distance between them. Allie's mind raced with questions, thoughts looping back on themselves. What could be so serious that he needed to pull her away from everything she loved? It was hard to shake the feeling that something vital was about to unravel. "Marcus, I want to be here for you, but you have to promise me you'll be honest," she managed, summoning every ounce of courage she had. "There can't be any secrets between us anymore." He stopped abruptly, turning to face her fully. The intensity of his gaze unnerved her. "I know, and that's why I brought you here." After a few moments of silence, he led her to the bench. The water glimmered under the moonlight, a calm contrast to the storm brewing within her. They sat side by side, the world around them disappearing into the shadows. "I've been doing a lot of thinking," he began, his voice low, "and there's something about my past I've never shared. I didn't want to burden you with it, but I realize now that keeping it from you is hurting us both." The knot in Allie's stomach tightened. "Just tell me, Marcus," she urged, "whatever it is, I'll face it. I promise." He took a deep breath, his hands clasped tightly together, an uncertain anchor for the storm raging inside him. "I've been running from my family and the life they've imposed on me for years. There are things I did, things that put me in a position where I had to choose between love and obligation. But that's not all." His voice cracked, and Allie felt her heart break for him. "What do you mean?" "There's a reason I've been in and out of town, why every time I tried to get closer, I seemed to pull back. I didn't want you to ever find out that I'm not just a guy trying to make it through life. I come from a wealthy family. They have money I can barely comprehend." He ran a hand through his hair, frustration and vulnerability swirling together, the implications of his words struck her like a blow. Wealth? Is that why you've been so distant? Because you're afraid I'll only love you for that? No, that's not it, he said, shaking his head vigorously. It's complicated. I left all of that behind because I wanted to find out who I am without the money. But I can't keep hiding it from you. It's part of me, and it's what they use to force me back into their world if I don't stand my ground. Allie's heart raced as she absorbed this new layer of complexity. So what does this mean for us, Marcus? She whispered, a mix of hope and fear in her voice that he captured her gaze, determination shining through the turmoil. It means I'm choosing you. But I need your support. I need to show them I'm more than just their money. As the weight of his words settled between them, a new path unfurled before Allie, paved with uncertainty yet radiating possibility. How could they carve their future from the stone of his past? What if I can't handle all of this? She asked, fear trickling into her voice. Then we'll face it together, Marcus replied, his commitment palpable. Allie couldn't help but smile despite the chaos brewing within her. But as their fingers intertwined, sealing this fragile bond, another question loomed in her heart. Could love truly defy the shadows of wealth and obligation? As they sat in silence, the reality of their next steps glimmered ahead like the stars scattered across the night sky. Unbeknownst to them, decisions would soon unfold that would push them further than they imagined, because sometimes, the past didn't just linger, it had a way of crashing into the present with full force. What would happen when the truth of his family finally reached her? As the moonlight danced on the lake's surface, Allie's thoughts raced with all the possibilities. Marcus's revelation left her feeling both terrified and exhilarated. All the dreams she had woven around them felt suddenly precarious, teetering on the edge of a cliff. She had always known there was something more to his quiet moments and anxious glances, but this was another level entirely. What do you need from me? Allie asked, trying to anchor herself in the moment, desperate to maintain the connection between them despite the growing complexity. I need you to trust me, Marcus replied, his voice steadying just enough to pull her closer. I need you to believe that I chose to leave that life behind for a reason, and that I'm not going back without a fight. Together, we can define our own future. A wave of determination washed over her. You know I'll stand by you. Just tell me what it involves. He exhaled, his shoulders relaxing. It won't be easy. My family, my father especially, he's not going to let me walk away without a struggle. If they find out I have you in my life, they'll try to use that against me. A chill ran down Allie's spine. What do you mean? How? They'll twist everything. They'll paint me as irresponsible. They'll try to break us apart, convince you that I'm just a lost cause, that I'll never escape their world. His eyes flickered with a mix of vulnerability and defiance. How can they do that? Allie felt a knot of fear tightening in her chest. They're powerful, Allie. Money talks. They could smear my name, drag my character through the mud. You deserve better than that. His words hung like a storm cloud in the crisp night air. But I don't care about your family's influence, she insisted, her voice firm. I care about you. If we're going to do this, fight against them, we need a plan. A small smile crept onto Marcus's lips, one that made her heart flutter. You're incredible, you know that? Just being honest, she said, her cheeks flushing. We'll face whatever comes together, right? Absolutely, he replied, squeezing her hand tighter. For a moment, they sat in shared silence, the weight of the world outside their bubble temporarily forgotten, but a shift in the air drew Allie's attention. A rustling came from the trees nearby, the sound prickling her skin. She felt the unease grow in her core. Did you hear that? Marcus turned his head towards the noise, a frown knitting his brow. Let us go check it out. With hearts racing, they stood up from the bench. The lake's surface shimmered under the moonlight, but shadows lurked at its edge, making the familiar suddenly ominous. As they crept closer, Allie's breath quickened. She felt the undeniable sensation of being watched, as if the night itself had ears, waiting to uncover their secrets. Just then, from the darkness, a figure stepped forward. Every instinct screamed at Allie to flee, but she stood tall, a fierce protector rising within her. "Who is there?" she called out, her voice steady despite the trembling of her hands. Marcus, the shadowy form, spoke, a malevolent hint in their tone. "How delightful to see you with your new friend. We need to talk." Allie's heart sank as recognition dawned. This voice was unfamiliar, yet filled with a chilling familiarity that sent shivers coursing through her veins. "What do you want?" Marcus replied, his tone now low and dangerous, a protector's instinct flaring. The stranger stepped into the light, revealing a smirk that sent a bolt of fear through Allie. As recognition washed over her, she understood that they weren't just facing Marcus's external struggles. The true confrontation was about to begin, and the stakes were higher than either of them could imagine. "Let's just say your family is quite invested in your choices and they're not fans of some of them," the figure offered, their smugness wrapping around the words like a shadow. The tension hung thick in the air, an invisible thread connecting Allie's racing heart to Marcus's fierce glare. In the face of impending danger, the reality of their battle loomed larger than ever. Would they stand strong against the storm that was clearly approaching? And as accusations loomed, Allie realized she must decide: was she ready to dive deep into Marcus's world, where secrets festered and the truth burned bright? The moment of truth approached, hurtling them both toward a pivotal chapter in their lives, one that neither of them could have prepared for. The figure's smirk seemed to widen in the moonlight, and a chilling laugh slipped from their lips. "Oh, Marcus. Did you really think you could just slip away?" Allie felt the blood drain from her face. This was no ordinary threat. Marcus's expression was hard, his jaw clenched tightly. He seemed to tower over the figure, but Allie sensed the turmoil swirling in him. She could feel the weight of generations of expectation crashing down around them. "What are you talking about?" Marcus shot back, his voice steady but strained. "I'm done playing your games." "Oh, but this isn't a game, dear Marcus. This is survival. You have something my family wants, and believe me, we'll make every effort to reclaim it." The figure leaned closer, eyes narrowing with intent. "Stay away from her," Marcus warned, stepping protectively in front of Allie. She could feel the heat radiate from his body, a shield against the unknown. She stepped up, hand resting gently on his back, silently urging him to stand firm. "I can't let you dictate my life any longer," Marcus continued, his voice rising, filled with an unexpected strength that sent a shiver of hope through Allie. "I'll fight for what I want. For her." The stranger laughed again, but this time it sounded more like a hiss. "You don't know whom you're dealing with. You think you can change the course of your destiny? My family has eyes everywhere. They'll drag you back down if you refuse to comply." Allie felt anger bubbling inside her. "And if we don't comply? What will you do? Harass us? Threaten us?" She stepped out from behind Marcus, determined to hold her ground. "Cute, really," the figure said, twisting their lips into an unnerving smile. "But threats are only the beginning. I'd hate to see you find out just how far my persuasion goes." The words hung in the air, an unshakable curtain of dread. Allie's heart raced. She glanced up at Marcus, who met her gaze with fierce determination. "No matter what they do, we'll face it together," he murmured, voice low and resolute. Suddenly, a crack from behind them made Allie jump. Her instincts kicked in, and she spun around, searching the darkness. What was that? Before Marcus could respond, another figure emerged, and Allie's chest tightened. This one wore a tailored suit, exuding confidence and power, a clear contrast to the first's casual demeanor. "The boss wants you both to reconsider your choices, Marcus. It's not just your father's wealth that's at play here." "Who the hell are you?" Marcus growled, stepping forward once again. Allie's heart pounded wildly as she sensed the rising tension crackling like electricity between them. A messenger, the suited man replied coolly. And I'm here to collect. He paused, eyes darting to Allie. You should reconsider your involvement, miss. You could walk away unscathed. Not a chance, Allie shot back, her voice firm with conviction. She felt Marcus's hand squeeze hers tighter, both a comfort and a promise she was willing to embrace. A silence settled, thick with implications and shadows of threats lingering in the air. The two figures shared a look, and Allie realized it was a signal. The atmosphere was charged with unspoken dangers. This was only the prelude to something much darker. What happens now? Allie asked, looking from Marcus to the strangers before them. Now. The first figure said, their voice low and menacing. Now, we plan our next move and you both will learn what it means to challenge my family. As the cold reality of their situation sank in, Allie felt the weight of her choices pressing down on her. Determined, she held Marcus's gaze, a silent vow forming between them. They would not be broken, no matter what was coming for them, and somewhere in the tumult of emotions, a question flickered in her mind. How far would they have to go to protect their future? As the night's chill wrapped around them, Allie found herself on the edge of a decision that could change everything once more. The silence hung heavy, wrapping itself around Allie and Marcus like a suffocating fog. She could feel the pulse of fear thrumming in her veins, but the fire in Marcus's eyes ignited a resolute spirit within her. They were in this together. Let us move, Marcus said suddenly, tugging at Allie's hand, his voice more determined than before. We can't stand here waiting for them to make their next move. Allie nodded, her heart racing as they began to retreat, slowly backing away from the impending confrontation. But then, the first figure's voice pierced the air like a blade. You think running will save you? You're already marked. Let us not draw this out any longer, the suited man said, his tone cool and calculated. You're making a mistake, Marcus. You're drawing attention to yourself, a luxury you can't afford. As they took their first steps away, Allie's mind whirled. How had it come to this? She thought of their quiet evenings, where laughter marked the air, where future plans danced between them like flickering candle flames. Would it all be taken away now, snuffed out by the shadows chasing them? Where do we go? She whispered, stolen glances behind them revealing the figures still lurking in the darkness. Marcus didn't hesitate. The old barn by the creek. It's secluded. We can figure out our next steps there. They turned sharply, bolting toward the path that led into the thick trees. The world around them faded, branches clawing at their clothes as they pushed deeper into the forest. Allie's lungs burned, but she focused on keeping pace with Marcus. He was her anchor, her safe harbor in the turmoil enveloping them. After what felt like an eternity, they stumbled into the clearing. The barn loomed ahead, a worn guardian of untold secrets. As they stepped inside, the scent of damp wood surrounded them. Dust motes danced in the faint beams of moonlight slicing through cracks in the walls. Marcus, what are we going to do? Allie asked, her hands trembling, the adrenaline of their escape melting into a wave of uncertainty that he locked eyes with her, the fierceness of his stare unyielding. We regroup, create a plan, and bring this down. Whatever it takes. She could see the energy in him, that old, burning determination. Allie stepped forward, catching his face in her hands. We're not alone in this. You have me. Marcus drew in a shaky breath, his expression softening just enough for her to glimpse the vulnerability he often hid. I never wanted this for you, Allie. I never wanted you to be part of my family's mess. Listen to me, she insisted, her voice steady as her pulse quickened. We can't let their fear control us. We can fight this. Together. We face them with everything we've got. Something shifted between them, a spark igniting in the air as they stood side by side. The timber creaked as they silently vowed to face whatever storm was brewing. Allie felt the heat of determination swell in her chest, anger mingling with courage. Just then, a sound echoed from outside, the crunch of footsteps, the rustle of branches. They weren't alone. Panic rose, but Marcus held her gaze, grounding her. "We stay focused," he whispered fiercely, drawing her back to the moment. "We'll listen and adapt." As they crouched low, hearts pounding, Allie's mind raced with possibilities. Who was out there? Were they allies or more enemies? In the quiet heartbeat of despair, a thought formed in her mind. But what if, deep down, someone in that darkness was waiting to help them? The world outside began to settle, a tension crackling in the air, and Allie clenched her fists, ready to stand firm. But how many surprises lay ahead before they could finally find peace? The footsteps grew louder, echoing through the dim barn and reverberating off its walls. Allie's heart raced, beating a frantic rhythm in her chest as fear clawed at her throat. She exchanged a sharp glance with Marcus, reading the urgency in his eyes. "Stay quiet," he whispered, his voice barely above a breath. They pressed themselves against the wooden beams, barely daring to breathe. Outside, the shadows shifted, whispers floating in the air, too muted, too distant for Allie to discern words, but heavy with menace nonetheless. Shadows danced past the gaps in the barn's aged wood, moving with a predatory grace that set every nerve in her body on edge. "Do you think they know we're in here?" Allie inhaled sharply, the fear knotting her stomach. Marcus shook his head slightly, his expression tense. "They're looking for us, but they can't be sure yet. We've got to hold tight until they leave." She could feel the thunder of her pulse overpowering the night's stillness. The barn's musty scent overwhelmed her senses, but it was nothing compared to the weight of what lurked outside. They couldn't let the fear break them, they needed to stay strong. Time stretched as the outside presence prowled around the barn, their intentions clear. The hunters were closing in. Allie felt the walls close in on her, the isolation sinking deep. Yet, she also felt Marcus beside her, his unwavering strength warding off the creeping dread. Then, just as suddenly, silence fell. Allie's breath caught in her throat. Had they left? Or were they simply waiting for the right moment to strike? "Let's take a look," Marcus murmured, with hesitant movements. They inched toward the barn's exit, peeking through the splintered boards. Allie held her breath, peering into the shadowy gloom outside. Her heart sank when she spotted one of the figures, a tall man in a dark coat leaning against a tree, arms crossed, scanning the area with an intense scrutiny that chilled her. "He's still here," she whispered, backing away from the door. "What do we do?" Marcus's voice was firm, but she could hear the uncertainty threaded through it. "We can't stay here, it's too dangerous." "But we can't run out there either," Allie replied, her mind racing, searching for any semblance of hope. Marcus's jaw pressed tight, and after a moment, a flicker of determination sparked back to life in his eyes. "What if we create a diversion? Draw him away while we sneak out the other side?" Allie swallowed hard, considering the risks. "That's crazy, but it just might work." "How do you want to do this?" "We grab something heavy to throw, make some noise," he suggested, nodding toward a pile of tools at the far end of the barn. "I'll draw his attention. You get ready to slip out the back." Her instinct screamed against it. "Marcus, no. It's too risky." He looked at her fiercely, his breath warm against her skin as he leaned closer. "We don't have another choice. I want to let them take you. I promise." Allie squeezed his hand, her heart a storm of emotions, fear for him, resolve for them both. The sheer force of his will ignited something deep within her. "Okay," she said, voice steady. "Let's do this." Marcus moved toward the tools, picking up a rusted wrench, and in a hushed tone added, "On 3. 1, 2, 3. He hurled the wrench against the barn wall, the clang echoing powerfully through the night. "Hey!" The man outside yelled, surprised, turning away from his spot. Allie took the chance. With her heart pounding in her ears, she slipped towards the back of the barn, adrenaline propelling her forward. Just as she reached the exit, another voice called out, a sharp tone filled with authority. "She's here. I saw her." Allie froze, recognizing the voice. It was familiar, yet it filled her with dread. Who are they? She wondered, fear mingling with a sense of betrayal. And before she stepped outside into the shadows, that same haunting thought echoed in her mind: what if the danger they faced stretched beyond the unknown figures lingering outside? Allie hesitated at the barn door, her heart thrumming with fear and confusion. The familiar voice sent chills down her spine. It belonged to someone she'd once trusted implicitly, and now it awakened every instinct to flee. What was he doing with them? She could barely think straight as adrenaline spiked through her veins. Marcus sensed her anxiety. "Allie, we have to move," he urged, his gaze darting between the front of the barn and the back exit. "I don't understand. Why would he be here?" Allie's voice trembled, torn between disbelief and dread. The thought of facing someone she thought she knew, only to find him on the other side of this nightmare, shook her resolve. "Does it matter?" "We can't find out now," Marcus said, stepping through the splintered opening with her. They were in the thick of it, and hesitation could cost them everything. "All right," she whispered, steeling herself, but her mind was a whirlwind of memories, all the moments they had shared, twisted into the uncertainty of betrayal. She took a deep breath and pushed the thoughts aside, focusing on survival. They slipped out into the cool night air, its chill shocking against their heated skin. The shadows cast eerie shapes around them, and she could hear muffled voices drawing closer, urgency coloring their tones. "Shoo," Marcus urged, grabbing her arm. They crouched behind a stack of hay bales, trying to stay out of sight. "Do you think they know we're gone?" she whispered, pressing closer to him. "They shouldn't, but we can't stick around, waiting to find out," he replied, scanning the trees lining the edge of the barnyard. Suddenly, the authoritative voice echoed again, sharper this time. "Spread out. Search every inch." Panic washed over Allie. "They're searching for us. We have to move, now." Marcus nodded, and without another word, they darted across the open space toward the tree line, heart rates pounding in sync with their footsteps. Allie kept her eyes forward, determined to put distance between them and that man with the familiar voice. Was this really worth risking everything? The whispers of betrayal lodged in her throat, suffocating her. As they reached the first row of trees, the sounds shifted, a chorus of shouts and rustling echoed behind them. Allie could see vague shapes moving in the moonlight, growing nearer by the second. "This way!" she gasped, taking Marcus's hand and pulling him deeper into the cover of the woods. The foliage whipped at them like 1,000 small hands, hesitant to let them go. Allie felt the panic clawing at her chest as they ducked under branches, trying to remain silent yet swift. "Stay close," Marcus murmured, his voice steady but laced with urgency. A sudden crash echoed behind them, and Allie jumped, her heart threatening to leap out of her chest. "Did they see us?" "I don't know," he said, his face edged in the dappled moonlight. "We can't stop, we must keep moving." They charged deeper into the woods, while Allie's thoughts spiraled. Was she running from life, or was she running toward it? The faces of those who had betrayed her lingered in her mind, battling the determination to outrun her past. Marcus pulled her to a halt by a large oak. "We should catch our breath, but we can't linger too long," he said, gazing deep into her eyes for a flicker of reassurance. "You're right." Allie started but was interrupted by the unmistakable crackling of twigs behind them. "We need to go," Marcus urged, but fear washed over Allie. She had to know. "Marcus, wait. Who was that man? What did he mean he saw me?" Marcus shook his head, a shadow crossing his features. "Allie, now is not the time. I promise, I'll explain everything later. We're not safe yet." She felt a surge of frustration but pressed her lips together, stifling the questions dancing just beneath the surface. "All right," she finally conceded, her heart still racing but determination sparking within. "Let us go." As they sprinted further into the darkness, Allie couldn't shake the feeling that they weren't just escaping danger. A bigger truth beckoned to be uncovered, and it pulsed through the very air around them. What had she lost that night? What awaited beyond the woods, where secrets tangled with the shadows? The answers felt closer than ever, and she could already taste the uncertainty filling the air. In the heart of the woodland, Allie and Marcus pressed onward, darkness wrapping around them like an unyielding cloak. Branches scratched at their skin, but they didn't stop. Each step was a mantra of resilience, a promise to each other to face the unknown together. Allie could feel Marcus's hand in hers, a tether to hope amidst the encroaching anxiety. "We need to find a place to regroup," he said, his voice tense but resolute. "Somewhere safe." "Right," she replied, her heart racing as they broke through a thicket and into a small clearing. Moonlight cascaded down, illuminating a dilapidated shack on the edge of the clearing. Its walls, rough and weathered, seemed to sigh under the weight of time. "What about there?" Allie gestured, her voice breaking through the stillness. "Perfect. It might offer some cover." Marcus led the way, urgency propelling them through the old door that creaked like a ghost's whisper. Inside, dust danced in the slivers of light filtering through the cracks, and the air felt thick with memories of lives once lived. As they settled into a corner, the reality of their situation began to crash down like waves against a shore. "What do we do now?" she asked, unease tearing at her heart. "I have a plan," Marcus replied, leaning closer, determination blazing in his eyes. "We're going to confront my family. They think they can control me, but I won't stand down without a fight. Not when it comes to you and Jake." The name of her son sent warmth coursing through her veins. Yet, fear dogged her thoughts. "Marcus, what about those threats? They know about us now." He took a deep breath, cupping her face in reassuring hands. "I won't let them hurt you. But it's time for me to claim my life. I'll be stronger with you, Allie. Always." Tears pricked her eyes as she looked at him. The fierce spirit in Marcus fueled her own resolve. "Okay," she said firmly. "Whatever it takes." The path ahead was fraught with uncertainty, yet as their fingers intertwined, the bond they shared flickered with hope, resilient, unyielding. Suddenly, a soft rustling cut through their confiding murmurs, pulling them back into reality. "Did you hear that?" Allie whispered, instinctively stepping closer to Marcus. "Stay low," he instructed, straining to listen. Just outside, shadows moved with intent, murmurs mingling with the night air. "What if they find us?" Allie asked, heart hammering. "They won't. Just trust me," he whispered back, and with that, the sound of footsteps grew louder. Before they could react, the door swung open. "There you are." The familiar voice sent Allie's heart plummeting. "Jake!" she cried, rushing forward as her son bounded into the shack, his eyes wide with concern. Allie dropped to her knees, holding him close. "Sweetheart, you shouldn't be here. It's not safe. Everyone's looking for you." "I had to come," Jake insisted, innocence shining bright. Before Allie could respond, Marcus knelt beside them, offering a gentler truth. "You did the right thing coming here. We're safe together." "How can you say that?" Allie's heart twisted in her chest, looking at the shadows outside. "They'll come for us." "No," Marcus shook his head. "I'll protect you both. But first, we have to go out into the open, face them. If we wait, they'll find us anyway." Allie felt her heart race. "What if they hurt you?" "Then they'll have to go through me," Marcus declared, his fierce resolve unfaltering as he stood up and faced the door. The weight of decision hung thick in the air. Allie looked down at Jake's worried face. She had to make a choice. "Okay," she said, steeling her resolve. "But we do this together." As they stepped outside, the moon illuminated the path ahead, mysterious but beckoning. Allie could feel the unmistakable rhythm of her heart synchronizing with Marcus and Jake, their unity powerful against the darkness. When they emerged into the clearing, strength surged within her. The figures she had seen before appeared again, standing tall like ominous rams in the night. But this time, she wasn't afraid. "You want us? Come on, then." she shouted. The leader of the group stepped forth. You don't know what you're getting into. Neither do you, Marcus countered, standing by Allie's side, their chain unbreakable. We choose our own paths now. Allie felt the surge of solidarity emboldening her. Life couldn't just happen to them. They were writing their own ending. One figure stepped forward, tension pulsing in the air. You think this is about you, Marcus? You're a pawn, and you have no power here. No, Marcus challenged, voice steady. You don't understand. I'm reclaiming what's mine, my life, my choices. Marcus squeezed her hand, the gesture igniting a fire in Allie. They would rise from this moment, no matter the past, and in that charged night, amid the shadows of uncertainty, Allie knew they were on the brink of something monumental. Together, they would redefine their story. With that resolve swirling in the air like the leaves above, Allie stepped forward, ready to fight for love, family, and a sense of belonging that had long evaded her. As dawn began to break, illuminating the edges of the forest, they stood united against their past, each heartbeat echoing a powerful truth: they would not be defeated. Allie's spirit soared. This was their moment, a chance to reclaim their future, igniting not only their own lives but illuminating the path for others in Willow Creek. The darkness could threaten, it could lurk, but love held the ultimate power. Allie took a deep breath as the sun stretched its first rays above the horizon. Let us go change everything, she declared, heart full, eyes shining with unyielding hope, knowing she had everything she ever wanted right beside her. And as they forged ahead, light replaced shadow, promise replaced doubt, a new beginning rooted in love and resilience, ready to bloom in the bright dawn of tomorrow. Now, this is your moment. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Your support means the world. Comment below to share your reactions and feelings about this inspiring ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this incredible transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to show your support for the channel. Your engagement fuels these stories.